Hey y'all, how are y'all tonight? It's me, Anne Marie. I hope y'all having a great day. This is a surprise for y'all. We are going to have a pop-up video. Pop-up video. Remember on VH1? My brother Tom and I used to watch it all the time. This is a surprise video, and I hope y'all are really ready because we are about to dive in. Yes, I wonder who we're talking about. Hey y'all, how are y'all doing tonight? I hope y'all having a great night on this beautiful Thursday night. It is the first day of fall. A lot of y'all may not know, but I hate anything that has to do with coldness. Fall, winter, even spring. Summer is absolutely my favorite. It's just an incredible season, summer and everything else. Some of y'all may not know me. My name is Anne Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carencro, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I am from Carencro, the wonderful city in Louisiana. Today, we are going to be talking about a documentary that aired last night. Even OJ Simpson was on this documentary. OJ Simpson. Yes, he's still around. We are going to be talking about the Murdaugh family. I couldn't wait for September 20th. I followed the case. I even wanted to be the third juror on the case. That's how much I was invested. I know everybody. I feel like I'm part of the family. Not the Murdaugh family, but the crime Murdaugh family community. You know what I mean? But it all started in February of 2019 when three couples, six friends, went to an oyster roast in South Carolina on Paul Murdaugh's boat. Well, actually, it was Alex's boat. Paul was driving the son. They all went. They had fun. Paul got drunk, the driver of the boat. After they left the oyster roast, he stopped at another bar. He got another drink. He was driving the boat. No one wanted him to drive the boat, but he said, nobody's driving my boat. And going very fast, he hit a bridge, and Mallory Beach flew out and was killed due to the accident. Now, this was kind of all when everything started spiraling out of control. Paul eventually, I think it was 2 or 3 months later, he was arrested, but he never went to jail. His mugshot was taken inside the courtroom in his suit. I don't know about y'all, but we would probably be underneath the jail by now if we did all that that night. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, all of that started because Alec kind of thinks he's above, in my opinion, above the law. As y'all all know, the Murdaughs have ran that county in South Carolina, Hampton, for over 100 years, since 1920, when the first Randolph Sr. became the prosecutor. Well, OJ Simpson said in the documentary, he said, I'm pretty sure he'll get off or get away with it, something like that. I wonder how he knows that. Okay, well, just saying. I think that Alex Murdaugh, in my opinion, was a drug addict, and I think everything started spiraling out of control. Everything in his life started to slowly unravel. So he said, I have to take action. I have to do something about this now. Well, Alex Murdaugh met Blanca and hired Blanca. Blanca was a translator. She spoke Spanish and English, so she would translate with Alex. Alex was an attorney. She would translate with his Spanish-speaking clients back and forth. They became close. Blanca actually started working for Miss Maggie at the house because Miss Maggie needed help, Alex's wife, Paul's mother. And she would cook, clean, run errands, and eventually they became really good friends. Someone that she spoke to every day. They had great talks. They would stay up late sometimes, talk on the phone. Maggie would call her and say, hey, are you up? She says, of course I'm up. I answer the phone. Kind of like my friend Monica and I. Once you find that one friend, that's it. You find that one friend. And you feel like you could never connect to anyone like that friend. That was Blanca and Maggie's relationship. Maggie saw Blanca as someone close that she could confide in, and they would just talk about everything, anything. Well, another person that Miss Maggie was close to was Morgan. Morgan and Maggie were very close. Morgan is Paul's ex-girlfriend. Well, they would sit in the kitchen and they would talk. And one night, Maggie told Morgan that Miss Libby, Alex's mom, wanted a divorce years back, and Randolph did not want one because Randolph, Alex's dad, said Murdaughs don't get divorced. They just don't. What does he do, y'all? What does he do? He writes up an obituary for Miss Libby and shows it to her, basically saying, you're not going anywhere, allegedly. I was shocked. Who does that? That's just crazy to me. Who does that? But they were the Murdaughs. They ran this county. They thought they were, special. It is what it is. On June 7th, 2021, the morning that Paul and Maggie were shot was a normal morning for Maggie. She woke up. She had a doctor's appointment. She went to her appointment. Before leaving, she called Blanca, and she asked Blanca, hey, can you go get some Capri Suns for Alec? Can you come cook? Paul loves when you cook. Could you come and run some errands for me? She said, absolutely. Whatever you need, I'm there. Maggie goes to her appointment. Blanca comes over. Well, this day when Blanca comes over, she sees a different part of Alec. She said he steps out into the kitchen. He's all wrinkled. It looks like he just rolled out of bed and put his blazer on. His hair wasn't fixed. His collar on his shirt was up. She fixed it for him. She said this wasn't normal because Alec was a very organized person, very, very organized, and he would like everything perfect. When his clothes would come back from the cleaners, y'all, they had to be taken out of the bag, the clear bag, on a coat hanger, button to the top button. Everything had to be color coordinated. Everything had to be perfect. I don't know about y'all, but those clothes are going to stay in the bags and I'll need them. Yeah. I'm not taking all that out. I'm not going to label that but no. I don't do none of that. None of that. My friend Monica likes everything organized. She has a pantry, the closet, everything. No. I'm different. It could just play whatever. I'm just joking. But everything doesn't have to be perfect. But Blanca noticed that morning, Alec wasn't himself that morning. Just wasn't himself, but she didn't think anything of it. He goes to his office, and the CFO, COO of the company, Janine, I hope I'm saying her name right, she needs to confront Alec. She goes to his office. She walks in. Y'all, he says, what do you want now? Rudely. Which I don't understand. When people get caught for something, why are they mad at you? Like you did something. But anyway, we'll get into that another day. She said, Alec, we need to talk about this money that's missing. We need to talk about it now. Y'all, I'm not talking about like $50,000, $100,000. $792,000 was missing. And I said to myself, that's a lot of money, but he's a Murdaugh. I didn't know that the Murdaughs, that there was partners. They had partners in this firm. It wasn't just the Murdaughs. So when you do something wrong, you kind of have to answer to all of them, not just the Murdaughs. Well, in the middle of discussing this, Alec gets a phone call, and his dad is doing very bad in the hospital. They don't know if he's going to make it. It's coming to an end. So Janine kind of dropped it. She says she moved to like the friend part. Like, oh my God, I hope everything's okay. Let us know if you need anything, whatever. Well, she thought that Alec went to the hospital. Well, around 4 o'clock that afternoon, she gets a phone call, and to her extension means somebody in the office, and it's Alec, and he wants to know about some financial situations, 401k, due to the boating accident, whatever that means. She found it weird. Like, why isn't he at the hospital with his dad? But she didn't find it weird. He was asking about the 401k or the boat. It was a very weird day on June 7th during the day for several people that encountered Alec that day. The night of the murder, Alec went to visit his mom. When he got to his mom's house, he called Shelly. Y'all, this lady, Miss Shelly, my heart goes out to her. She's so sweet. You could tell she's a sweet, loving, caring person. I watched her when she testified. She was awesome, and you could tell she was in a very uncomfortable position because she really loved the family. They were a good family. Anyway, he called and said, I'm here. She found it odd. She goes, Alec never comes at night. Why would he be here tonight to visit his mom? Sometimes she's not even awake. But anyway, she was like, sure, okay. So she let him in. He says, I heard you getting married or you got married or something. You know, that's expensive. If you need help paying for it. It was very weird. She got this weird feeling. Like, why is he offering to pay? Anyway, he looks at her and he says, hey, Shelly, if anybody asks, I was here like 30, 40 minutes, okay? And she kind of stared at him like that's weird. And she had been with the family for a long time. She just found this very strange. Well, she calls her brother, who's a police officer, and she says, look, Alec was here and he told me to lie. If anybody ever asked me that he was here for 30, 40 minutes when he was here, you know, maybe 20. The police officer said, whatever you do, don't lie. Don't ever lie. Always tell the truth and it's going to be okay. Gosh, that was so sad. I felt so sorry for that lady. How can you it's like he wanted her to be his alibi. How could you put that on someone? How can you say to yourself, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm putting this poor, defenseless lady in jeopardy because now she's going to be all involved with the case and everything. It was just horrible. When they were shot, I did not know this, but they thought maybe it was a murder-suicide. And I said, a murder-suicide? Why would Paul and Maggie want to shoot one of them and then kill themselves? I was confused, but they had to rule everything out. They had to rule everything out right away. So what did they do? When SLED came, they turned him over, Paul over, and there was no gun, so it was a homicide. They knew at that point. They knew it was two separate guns. It was a homicide. Anyway, Alec had to call Blanca to tell her the news, which was heartbreaking. Because we all know in life, there's only one friend that you can never replace. There's only one friend that you can tell anything and everything to, and you know everything will be okay. One friend. Anyway, which for me would be my mom, my kids, Monica. I guess I couldn't lose any of them. Any of them. My man, maybe the dogs. No, I'm just joking. But he said, hey, could you come and kind of tidy up the house because people are going to be coming over? Which, why the hell would you be worried about that? My house can be in disarray. I wouldn't even care. I just lost my family. Who would be worried about let's clean up the house? Well, when she arrived, she noticed all the pots were put away. And you remember, she cooked the night before. So she says, this is odd. Usually the pots are still on the stove. Where are the pots? I know Miss Maggie didn't clean them. I know Alex didn't clean them. Y'all, the pots, when she opened the refrigerator, the pots were in the refrigerator from the night before with their lids on. And she's like, okay, that has never happened in years, which is weird to me as well. Then she walks in the bedroom and Maggie's pajamas are laid out in the middle of the floor to the bedroom entrance on the floor neatly. I mean, just unfolded, straight leg, blouse, collar, but, and she's like, what is this? Why is this on the floor and why are they neatly placed? I don't understand, maybe a chair or on the bed, but why would you put clean pajamas in the middle of the floor to the entrance of the bedroom? It's not like they were in the bathroom waiting for her to get out of the shower. I don't know about y'all, but I have never done that in my life. I don't put my pajamas on the floor like that. I mean, I never heard of it. At 8:44 p.m., the night of the murder, that video that Paul shot of Cash's tail, and he sent it to his friend Rogan, that's when they think the murders occurred between 8:44 and 8:49 because Maggie and Paul's phones were locked. At that time, they were never used again. That's what the cops think because of the phone evidence. Now, Maggie would have never gone to the kennels at night. She was afraid of the dark. They said, like, if If Alec wasn't home, but Paul was, she would make Paul sleep in the bedroom next to her. She constantly locked the doors, locked the windows, because they were in the middle of nowhere, and their house was so far from the road. I mean, there was no one around. Absolutely no one. So everyone found it weird that Alec called him when she was in Edisto, their other home, getting ready for the 4th of July, to come home. And then her and Paul go to the kennels. The whole at night. It was just very weird, but you clearly hear him on that video. So thank God for cell phones, because what do they always say? People lie. Cell phones don't. Yes. So they kind of figured out at that point that why wouldn't he have said? Because remember, he admitted it. He had to admit. Alec had to say, yes, that was me. He had to come clean. So next, he says to himself, he says, I should have said something differently. Yeah, maybe he would have gotten away with it. But don't you think if let's just say he left at 8:45. Let's just say and the murders happened at 8:48. Don't you think one time, instead of Alex saying, no, I wasn't there, don't you think he should have been like, God, I had just left 2 minutes ago. If I had been there, if only I had stopped, I should have been there. He didn't say that. He just said, but he still said, I did not murder my family. I did not do this. And they kind of had no choice. They were in this place where they needed more evidence. They needed a lot more evidence. So Blanca came to testify. Miss Shelley, who sweet lady, came to testify. Also, the day after the murders, the whole place was supposed to be cleared off. No one was supposed to be around Moselle because it was a crime scene. They had things to do. Well, it was a free-for-all. It reminded me of the Jean Bonnet case. It just, there were people everywhere, touching stuff, just being wherever, which is not a good, and it's not a good thing. Another thing that kind of struck me as odd was they offered SLED, or the police officer, detectives, whoever, offered to clean up the crime scene. They refused. Why? What were they trying to hide? Were they hiding something where they didn't want them around? Was something in there they didn't want them to see? I don't know, but I don't know who would turn that down, because I would not want to do that with, not my child, but anybody for that matter. I would not want to be in that position, because as we all know, Paul's head was like gone. It was a horrible scene. There was blood everywhere and other kind of matter and skull and bones. It was horrible. That was left there. So John Marvin, Alex's brother, even though it was terribly hard for him, he cleaned up. And he said he just thought he owed it to Paul. He said it was very hard, but he did it. Because he knew, nobody was going to ask Alex to do it. But he did it. He cleaned up the area. I just feel that at this point, the cops was still kind of on Alex Murdaugh's team, maybe. But I think they slowly got away from that and realized there's no other evidence to anyone else. We can't find a trace of anything else. Nothing. They interview Alec over and over and over and over and over. And there's never any tears. He never cries. He never does anything. He's just kind of like, but like no tears are falling. Well, just 3 days later, on June 10th, tragedy strikes again with the passing of Randolph, which is Alex's father. So it has been a crazy, crazy 3-4 days for this family. Horrible. Could you just imagine all the stuff they had been through in just those couple of days? The night that Maggie and Paul were killed, do y'all remember when I spoke about Morgan, Paul's ex? That night she was cooking, cleaning up, doing whatever in the kitchen, and she automatically started thinking about Paul, which she hadn't in a long time. And she's like, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about him for a long time, but I bet he would be happy to see where we are today in our lives. So When she found out about the murder the next morning, she felt in her mind, which I believe is probably true, that Paul came to check on her during his passing journey to the other side. He might have just wanted to see if she was okay, just to think about her for a second. She puts that in her mind. And being a victim, as she was, of domestic violence, which I am, and one day I'm going to share the story with y'all. It's a horrible experience. But that breakup was very hard. They dated for 4 years, and she loved him. You could tell she loved him, but the drinking and the domestic violence and the screaming at her and calling her names and the spitting, she had enough of it. And when Mallory passed away, her friend, from the boating accident, and Paul was still partying and doing whatever, she felt that he wasn't, he wasn't saddened about Mallory. She didn't like how he was acting. So she always said that Mallory saved her from Paul. Mallory, she always said that, which is, it's just, that's a true place. That's a true place when you can say, my friend saved me from this horrible domestic violence relationship. And I'm proud of her for that. And I'm proud of anybody who leaves. Y'all can always message me, talk to me. I'm here for whatever y'all need. Yes. Not much longer after this, Alec went and questioned Blanca. He said, Blanca, can you sit down? I have something I need to talk to you about. She said, sure, no problem. She said it was very weird because Alec was the type that couldn't sit still. Now he was actually going to sit still and have a conversation with her. He said, you remember what I had on that night? This is what I had on. He kept telling her, this is what I had on. In the back of her mind, she's like, no. He was trying to make her say something else. And she said, oh my God. She said that's when she knew. She knew something was up. Well, now we're going to move to Cousin Eddie. Y'all, when I hear Cousin Eddie, I think about Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. Cousin Eddie. Cousin Eddie was Alex Murdaugh's cousin. He would do things for Alec, like deliver things, deliver this, deliver checks, just stuff he needed. Well, he said that one day he gave him a big envelope, and it was kind of like, felt like there were pills in it or something. He didn't think, he's like, okay, there's something in here, but he never questioned because he would make whatever, $200. I mean, Alec paid him thousands to deliver checks or go cash checks or bring these envelopes places. And even Eddie one day said, this isn't illegal. We're not like money laundering or anything. He was like, no, everything's fine. Well, one day, Eddie was like, Alec, I don't want to do this anymore. This is way too shady. I cannot be a part of this anymore. Alec had him where he wanted him when he said, does your daughter still work at whatever place? And he was like, he was kind of telling Eddie, don't mess with me. I got you where I want you. Mentioning Eddie's daughter. That's just my personal opinion, because why would he mention his daughter? So Eddie was kind of stuck. Not too long after, Alec was shot. Supposedly. Well, he was on the side of the road changing his tire. He said somebody came up and shot him. Whatever. Didn't make sense. Eddie told the police that they got in Alex pulled up and said, hey, I need you to shoot me. Eddie said, no, I'm not shooting you. What are you talking about? He said, Alec, what's wrong? What really happened at Moselle? He said, Eddie, everything just got effed up. And the cops are going to be able to prove that I killed Maggie and Paul. So I need you to shoot me. He said, never going to happen. That's not even coming out of my, like, that. Just don't ever talk about it again. Well, he said, if you don't, I will. So he got, Alec left. Eddie chased after him. They wrestled for the gun. The gun went off. But he said, no. Eddie said nobody was shot. So they started thinking, whoever just shot Alec on the side of the road must have killed Maggie and Paul. So again, Alec was maybe, I think he was, in my opinion, I think that he was going to get out there and maybe Eddie was going to shoot him somewhere that he wasn't going to die. And then Alec would frame Eddie for all the murders and the shootings. That's just my opinion. But Eddie was even questioning. He said, yo, I have nothing to do with that. I have absolutely nothing to do with any of this. I didn't shoot anybody. I didn't go to Moselle and kill Maggie and Paul. Y'all got the wrong person. Well, it was time to go to court. They didn't need DNA. And the DNA, Alec, Paul, Maggie all lived together. But there was no other DNA that they could put. But what they did have, which, thank God for cell phones. A lot of times I get mad because my girls stay on the phone, but thank God for cell phones because there's digital evidence. And when there's digital evidence, you could see when the phone's on, off, turned on, to Snapchat, Instagram, what time the phone was locked, what time the phone stopped working, anything. Well, Paul had sent a video to his friend Rogan about his dog Cash. And remember, Alex said he wasn't even there with them when they were shot. He was at home sleeping, supposedly. Then went to his mom's. Well, the video was presented in court, and you clearly hear Alex's voice on that Snapchat video. The gig was up. They knew he was there. He had to admit it. He had to admit it at this point. That was just very sad. Everyone knew at that moment, Alec could have been the shooter. Alec could have been there. They just couldn't figure out who else would have done this. At one point, there was a theory that said maybe it was the cartel because of some drug thing with Alec. But then they said it was just some other people that used to live there. I mean, there were just so many theories of what could happen because of the boat case. But the cops and everyone says this was done by an amateur because the way the shots were, this was not, a planned, well thought out. This is just someone that wanted them to be gone. It wasn't a professional shooter. This is just my opinion, my personal opinion. Well, on March 3rd of 2023, Alec was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Oh, I also didn't tell y'all. The jury had actually gone down to Moselle to see it. And it was devastating. The way that I watched the animation and the way that it happened, it was devastating because it looked like after Paul was shot, Maggie, she was like 12 feet or 12 steps from his body. The way it looks like she had turned around and started running towards her baby, and she was shot in the leg, the back, and then shot in her head. God, that's so devastating. Who would do that? I mean, who would think to do something like that? But of course, Alec is gonna appeal his case. What a shock. We haven't even gotten into the money that was stolen from his clients, his partners, the housekeeper situation, allegedly the Stephen Smith. This is all alleged case. There's a lot of stuff that Alec was involved in, and that's bad. It's not over for him. This is just the icing on the cake. Now we're gonna start peeling off layers of everything he was into. We are now going to go to my final thought. My final thought, I think Alec did it. And I think Alec had a helper. I don't think it was Eddie. I don't know who it is. I thought if that person would have came out, Alec would have just blamed whoever that person is. Because I could be wrong, y'all. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Y'all don't lose your mind if I say this. I really don't think Alec could have shot his son like that. I really don't. I really don't. I think it was very close range, and it was scary. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I just think there were two people involved, or Alec maybe had somebody do it. This is my opinion. Y'all go form your own opinion. I'm just saying I think there was more than one person there that night, because it would have been hard to do. I mean, Paul gets shot by the feet area. Maggie's way over here. So when Maggie starts running, that person would have to run. She would have been shot all up here, but she was shot from behind at first. So that's what I think. How can a man that has everything under the sun, everything, y'all, he has everything. Homes, Range Rovers, Mercedes, trucks, acres, hundreds of acres of land to go hunting on, boats, camps, a beautiful family, lawyer, all the money he could ever want, but he still wasn't happy. Why? Because Alec was a narcissist. Everyone was supposed to know. Everyone was supposed to not obey him, but put him on a pedestal. He was always right, and everyone was supposed to believe him. But his lies was slowly starting to unravel. His web that he created was crumbling down, and he knew that. So why take out your family? Why take out your whole family? Y'all, I don't understand. And let's just say that Alec didn't know what else to do, because remember, the boat case was coming up. He was afraid about that. That was about to come to trial. So they didn't know what was going on with Paul. And I think that Alec had this perfect family, and now his family was unraveling. And he had stolen all this money, supposedly, and had this drug problem, supposedly, and was hiding it from everybody. But y'all, I know, for me, if I was a loving wife and my husband came up to me and said, listen, I stole $1 million from my firm. I have a severe drug problem. I need help. I need to go to rehab. We just been going through a lot with the boat accident. With this one, I became, addicted to drugs. I know I would be, of course, upset, angry, mad, but my first instinct was, we got to get you help. We can fix everything later, but the number one person we have to fix is you. We have to fix you now. But we don't know. Did Maggie know about this drug problem? Did Maggie know about the stealing? We don't know. I mean, maybe Maggie was like, look, if you do any of this again, this is it. I'm leaving you. She could have said that. I don't know. But I think that he should have been upfront, and whatever happened, happened. Gone to jail for that stealing money or drugs or whatever, but now you're going to jail, your whole family? Your family? Oh, and the one person I feel very sorry for is Buster. Buster had lost his mom and his brother and pretty much lost his dad. I mean, he gets to talk to his dad on the phone maybe, or go see him once in a while, but what about like vacations or the birth of his first child, his marriage, Christmas, Thanksgiving? He has no parents there, no siblings. It won't ever be the same. He lost everybody, everyone. For what? For money? For power? For drugs? I don't know. But I just hope that if any of y'all has this addiction, y'all just get help and talk to people. Don't ever resort to killing or hurting anyone, because that's not the route to go. I hope y'all enjoyed this pop-up video with me, Anne Marie, yours truly. I hope y'all have a great night. I hope y'all like, subscribe, comment. It's a free way to help this Cajun girl out. And I hope y'all have an amazing weekend. I love y'all so much, and thank y'all so much for watching. Y'all will see me in a couple of days. Bye.